What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to the Reinventing the Tattoo community. We're beaming out to several different places, so if you're watching, let us know that our streams are working by tagging a friend who loves tattoos, or, let us know where you're beaming in from. All of these network shows, art jams, drawing groups, interviews, panels, and webinars can be watched anytime at reinventing247.com. While you're there, guys, enter to win a goodie bag with cool samples from Shine Cartridges, Raw Pigments, and D-Lies Pro. We have several weekly shows and drawing groups, too. Some really cool stuff happening all the time. If you go to YouTube, you can schedule and remind yourself for some of our upcoming events. Every Sunday at 1 p.m., we have our Reinventing drawing group with Jason Leeser. Every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, you can find myself, Gabe Ripley, and Jake Meeks with the Tattoo Weekly. Then Monday evenings at 9 p.m., we have our evening canon class with subscribers, led by Guy Aitchison. To join, subscribe to the canon at courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. Tuesday mornings, you can find Ricardo with his Reinventing drawing group at 10 a.m. Wednesdays at noon is the Tattoo Now show, and Thursdays at noon is the Tattoo Collecting podcast. Subscribers are also encouraged to join here for apprentices and fundamentals on Thursday mornings. The Reinventing Canon and other pro development courses can be found at courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. Before we get started, we want to say thank you to our sponsors for providing this community to you guys for free. We do have Alex at worldtattooevents.com. He's got the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events in the world. Got rawpigments.co, an e-company that is tapping into the source with acrylic-free pigments that have been impressing artists across the globe. If you guys haven't tried them, sign up for one of those goodie bags at reinventing247.com to get your hands on some free samples. Also, thank you to Gabe at Tattoo Now, providing technology for tattooers, and the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo, Guy Aitchison. Find his Biomech Encyclopedia, DVDs, and machines, paintings, more, all at GuyAitchison.com. We also have several affiliates that we would love to say thank you to as well. The Fireside Tattoo Network, the Apprenticeship Diaries, and EcoFriendlyTattooSupplies.com. Throughout the show, we welcome positive comments and reviews on our channels and would love for you to follow us. If you'd like to host a Reinventing event, sponsor the community, or even guests on the Tattoo Weekly, contact us at management@reinventingthetattoo.com. Now, I'm going to be off in the background reading off comments. Say, hey, what's up? Let us know where you're beaming in from, like I said. And we're going to go ahead and kick off the show, guys.
Alrighty, Ricardo, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, Lauren? It's going pretty good.
Awesome. And another great Tuesday morning, kind of winding down the year. I know that we're doing things a little bit differently. So for those that are...
Lauren, I think your camera's off.
Yep, my camera's off now. For those who are watching, we do have a Zoom link on the homepage. Gabe, since you're here, do you have any insight on how artists can access that link within the Google Calendar?
Didn't you just add the link?
Yep, I added it into the Google Calendar link for Ricardo's drawing group today.
Morning, Gabe. How's it going?
Well, pretty good. Just testing.
Oh, morning testing. That sounds great. So again, guys, let us know if the streams are working. Tag yourself, tag a friend in the comments, and we'll keep an eye on that throughout the show. I'll be in the background just, reading off comments and letting Ricardo know that you're watching.
Yeah, cool, man. Like Lauren said, it's another Tuesday morning. I'm happy for all of you guys tuning in to be here. It's always a pleasure to be able to jump on here and not feel like a dunce sometimes. You know what I mean? Because everybody comments and stuff like that. It's cool to hang out. It's cool to talk about some things that we're going to be talking about for the rest of this month, which is lighting. We've gone over directional lighting. I think last week I talked about tonality in art, which is like separating, kind of concentrating on just 3 major tones, and as far as like this 12 spectrum kind of tonal value. I've tried to break it down to 3: dark, medium, light, and how to implement those 3 together in order to like make it all work out pretty well. To kind of create some depth beliefs and everything like that, as far as like your paintings or drawings and stuff like that, or even trying to apply it for your tattoos, right? But today, I think I'm going to talk about key lighting. And one most specifically form of key lighting was I'm going to talk about is the low key lighting. Key lighting is basically a method, and it's referred more to nowadays by directors or photographers. And it's basically implementing a source of light, and it's usually multiple sources of light, about 2 or 3 at a time, in order to find and highlight certain parts or portions of a form, like mostly a human form. Sometimes it's inanimate objects, trees, landscapes, such as that. But mostly it's to help convey like a mood. A lot of directors use it. You guys might have seen the movie The Joker. That one's a very strong form of key lighting. And that one is what we're going to focus on today, kind of, is I'm just going to talk about it and kind of implement it on this skull that I've been drawing, because I've been looking at it for the past few weeks, and I keep wondering what's going on with it. What am I missing? I think if I started like giving it a little bit more mood, it might help out quite a bit more. I like the realism part of it right now. I think I've captured some fairly realistic proportions and stuff like that, as far as the relations of the shapes and the tonal values and everything like that. But I think I'm going to go in and start kind of focusing on a heavier light source and focus on our Terminator edges today to kind of help create this ambience. And we're also definitely going to start putting some more darks in the background and stuff like that today. So we'll kind of go over that as we're playing around, right? But yeah, I mean, that basically covers the general definition of what low-key lighting is. Like, we're just trying to find ways to kind of implement this technique to help with the overall mood of whatever it is that we're trying to create, be it a painting, be it a drawing, and hopefully, with all good intention, being able to apply it to our tattooing and our tattooing designs. And when we start like kind of thinking of a subject matter or the overall composition and stuff like that, we can start implementing that too. So let's see, I tried to pull up some images here, but we're not going to really worry about it. It's okay. So I think what we'll do is just kind of start jumping into some of these, some of this drawing. Let me get this iPad out of the way real quick. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see what this setup is here with that drawing. It looks like you can see it pretty well now.
I think that we can see it all right, but yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Drop a comment if you can't, guys.
Definitely, guys. You were mentioning that this being the end of this year, you know what I mean? I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And I've been thinking about how much of a difference in my actions that I've made this year versus the years before, all my tattooing years. And it's been crazy to me. And I think I wanted to talk about that a little bit today. With New Year's coming up, a lot of us and a lot of people that we know, we start making these resolutions, you know what I mean? And that's cool. Or some of us have all these ideas of like this life board thing that people do sometimes, where they have all these like little messages to themselves with plans and stuff like that, 10-year plans and everything. That's great. I think goals are awesome and important, right? But like I was reading this neuroscience article, and they were talking about how we're proving now, science is proving, neuroscience in particular, is proving that the way we determine our emotions, the way we define ourselves through our emotions is actually what actually becomes our reality, right? And I think that it's awesome to have goals, but the one thing I'll say, once I was reading that, I was thinking, like, well, if that's true, and that's really the case, it makes a lot of sense as far as when we start changing our mindset, how much different the world can be around us. You know what I mean? And I think it's really important for us to not only have those goals and those objectives, but also remember that if you're not changing your mindset in the process and associated with those goals, you're just the same person but just trying to make a change as far as your actions, as far as the overall actions, right? You're not changing your world. So it's important to kind of remember that if you have these doubts while you have all these goals and stuff like that, that you're probably not going to meet them. You probably can push through a lot of things because we're all very capable of doing a lot of things that we surprise ourselves with every day. But I think it's important to do and focus on as well your personality. Our actions are what dictate the person that we are. And it's important to remember that. So like, I think like for an example of things that you can do that are different is try to do something. And I know I'm going to use this word painful. Try to do something that's painful to you every day. And I don't mean like in the sense of like that hurts physically. I mean in the sense that like you've done everything you can to keep away from performing this action, like putting yourself out in public or speaking out in public or like, subjecting yourself to some kind of criticism or critique. You know what I mean? I've talked about that quite a bit this year. And I think it's important. And then like for me physically, I get up early every morning. I get up as early as I can, normally about 4:45 a.m. And I go to the gym every morning. You know what I mean? And it's hard. It hurts. But I've done it repetition for such a good amount of time now that it's become part of my process. It's become part of my day. You know what I mean? And when I don't do it, I actually don't feel the way that I should, the way that I know that I can feel. You know what I mean? So I think it's important to implement that. Not necessarily, I'm not saying you should go to the gym because a lot of us don't. You don't want to, that's fine, whatever. But try to do something. So if you're afraid of oil painting, try to do a little bit of an oil painting every day. You know what I mean? If you're afraid of drawing in charcoals, try to draw charcoals every day. If you're afraid of drawing realism, give it a go. Try it every day. If there's anything that I will say as far as a resolution, that's one thing that we can kind of maybe focus on this year. You know what I mean? So I don't know how you guys feel about that. I've talked about that quite a bit this year and I love it. And I've liked some of the responses that I've gotten from it too. So if you guys want, let us know what you think. See if you relate to that same thing that I'm talking about. If you found yourself kind of like just slumped in the same spot. And it's the opportunity is always there too. It's always those moments where somebody's like, "Hey, man, let's go for a walk or something." You know what I mean? Or let's not go to the bar tonight. Let's go hang out and draw or paint. Or let's not drink tonight. Let's chill out and have a conversation. Especially if you've known people for a long time, a partner, you know what I mean, or a friend that you've had in your life for, duration of your life. It's always good to kind of like check in, man, maybe. A lot of us kind of avoid these conversations, avoid these conflicts and everything like that. And I don't know how beneficial that is to us, really. We might feel like it's okay to do that. I know it's easier to just kind of avoid any kind of conflict, but there's growth there. And if you avoid it, then you're just missing out on a lot of opportunities for yourself. I think I'm already starting to like that a little bit better. And then for those of you that might not have tuned into these shows before, what I'm using is a soft pastel knife. You can see it here. Let me pull it up there we go. Soft pastel knife. This is a square edge, a rectangle tip. They come in various sizes and shapes. I have a round one here as well. They're for different techniques. This one is a triangle. And it's got a point on it, so you can kind of cut in some real tight angles, some real tight details and stuff like that. I like the square one though, the rectangle one, because it gives me a very broad surface and it's kind of like painting for me. And I'm just using a medium tone charcoal powder right now. And I'm just kind of brushing over these shapes that I've already implemented, these forms that I've already put into place. And I'm going to focus on this Terminator Edge, meaning where the form starts to turn away from the light source. Right now, it looks like our light source is coming from this direction. I've been working on this for the better part of the year, to be honest with you. And I've been working on it mostly whenever I jump on these shows. And I think today, I usually bust it out whenever I think it's fun to kind of like fill in for one of the other guys on the morning shows, or when I think we can use it for resources as far as like what we're talking about today for that day. But I think I'm already starting to like the way that is coming together. It's kind of crazy having this camera right here. Every time I turn it over to the left to pick up some more charcoal, like there I am on this tiny little screen. But the cool part is I can see the skull in the other screen, and so it's almost like looking through it in a mirror or through a camera lens. A lot of times I'll take my phone if I'm not on it, like for Zoom and stuff, and just kind of peer through it with my phone, you know, to kind of get a different perspective outside of your own eyes. So I am, while I'm doing this, it is softening some areas up, but that's okay. I'm not losing, pretty much like for us tattoo artists, we would see it as like part of the stencil, right? Like I'm not losing any of the stencil, so to speak. So I'm not too worried about it getting a little bit softer. Like if I want to, I can go back in and just kind of cut in like with a, you know, a sharper point, which would be like a liner for us or a round shader for us, or along those lines. Right now, what I would be using is kind of like a, I don't know, like a 25 mag or something a little bit bigger than that. Just getting those values in. Just kind of the way that I like to do most of my black and gray at first. I have been around other artists lately that reminded me in their technique, in their process, how awesome it can actually be using 3 round liners for shading. Especially Jorge Lange. And when I was down in Texas with Raw, that was an eye-opening experience for sure. You can see, yeah, that's certainly coming together a lot better. It already has much more life to it. It looks pretty like, you know, it looked pretty like anatomically correct, but I'm not going for just a display of like recognizing shapes and form. I wanted to have some life, you know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes with tattoo arts, like especially these days, you know, I'm not saying any names or I'm not saying anything bad, but what I do recognize is a lot of people kind of taking photos off of Google and mashing them together and stuff like that. And it looks cool. And it's awesome. And technically, man, I can't do stuff like that for sure. And I don't know if it's just because I don't see it the same way that they do or what, but it's probably just a technical awareness that I'm not sinking in with, right? But like, you have to have some life to it. You have to have some character, I think, in order for it to be really interesting. Because if you look at something technical, after a while, all it becomes is just a blueprint almost. If you look at something where it invokes some emotion, it's an entirely different beast altogether. A lot of times, it's a good use of lighting. And that being dark and light relations. As far as where there is no light on a form. I gotta tell you guys, let's see, what was it? Sunday night, I think, was the drunk critique. That was an awesome time.
Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it, Ricardo?
It was cool as hell. I didn't jump in. I did watch and I did submit a couple pieces, and oof, man, they tore me up.
I think it was because they had been drinking, but like the pieces, I had my own input on a couple of them. I'm not sure exactly when I jumped on, but I think, did you submit like a colorful rose perhaps?
I did, yeah.
I wanted to bring up the client's expectations because sometimes clients, it kind of depends on the person, and the subjection does come from the eye of the beholder, and it, as his or her tattoo. I'm sure they really, really enjoyed that. It may not be standard, but I did enjoy a lot of those colors myself.
Thank
Like
you.
the blues.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what you were going for, like when we were talking about the shadow of the leaf and the color. What did the client have to say about that?
Well,
When
she loved it. She
Yeah.
loved it. And like when we talked about it, what she wanted was just, she wanted some color. You know what I mean? And she had brought in another picture, and I was like, okay, put it away as fast as possible. Put the picture away of the tattoo as fast as possible, because I don't want to be any more influence on it. And I'd like to be able to kind of use our own ideas, you know. So we sat down and we talked about it, and she liked watercolors, you know what I mean? Watercolor tattoos and everything like that, watercolor paintings and everything. And we kind of talked about just the flowers in general. And believe it or not, that tattoo is actually a cover up too. So so I was trying to implement some dark contrasts here and there, but the color in the leaves, I just wanted it to be kind of, I don't want to say psychedelic. I just didn't want it to be standard greens or olives or anything like that. You know what I mean? I was just looking for, I don't know, more of a pop, I guess.
I think that over time you'll start to see some of those colors start to either fade in some areas faster than others or whatever, but I'd love to see that one healed over time. I personally really liked it.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, when I took that picture, it was already at about, I think, I want to say like 7, 8 months old already. So yeah, so it's been there for a little while now, but yeah, that's something that I'll definitely do, because that is one of the things that we as the tattoo artists talk about, and I know they brought that up in the critique too, and they're absolutely right. You know what I mean? Like contrast for tattooing, and we talk about that quite a bit in all of these shows. Is like, no matter what we do with our art, that's on a canvas, it's on a piece of paper. You know what I mean? Or it's not going anywhere. Once you seal it and you keep it out of the sunlight and stuff like that, pretty good. It'll stay like that forever, right? But with tattoos and on people, you definitely need some contrast. There are some rules, like foundational rules, that can apply to color tattoos, especially, that benefit the tattoo for sure. And the client's expectation, I think, sometimes too.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I appreciate the kind words. I did hear you kind of chime in a little bit. And it was awesome. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't want to say anything because it's difficult to put yourself out there to like someone like, you know, Bob Tyrell or Joe Capobianco, those guys. But it also is, because it's so hard, it's more rewarding, no matter what they say or their opinion or anything.
Boom. You nailed it. That's exactly it.
So good job doing that. We kind of touched on that yesterday, and Gabe and I in the Tattoo Weekly, talking about how, I suppose, courageous you had to have been to, you know, to put yourself out there like that.
Oh man, dude, absolutely. Like you said, I mean, you nailed it. You know what I mean? Because like, dude, it's Bob Tyrell and Joe Capobianco and all these other guys that are like, you know, in the industry, like they're pretty well known. You know, Damon Tesh, man, like I met him through this thing.
Yeah.
You know, he's such a rad dude, and he's very like, you know, open and forward, and I love that, like that candid kind of attitude and you know, speech and forwardness. You know what I mean? It's awesome. It's not like, see, I think that's one of the things that a lot of us, we get confused with people being genuinely honest with like people being jerks, and that's not it at all. And like, if you think about it, you should be able to appreciate that a little bit more, really, because you don't have to worry about them lying to you or like them not being genuinely honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, it's great. I dig it. So when people are that honest and stuff like that, and don't get me wrong, the alcohol might have not had something to do with the harshness of the comments, but yeah. No, yeah, man, it's fun. I had a blast. I was watching, and I was having a couple drinks, and I was like cooking dinner and stuff like that, so I didn't get a chance to jump in and everything, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Did you guys, did you stay on for a while? Were you able to stay on for a while?
I think I was on for maybe half an hour. Nothing crazy. I just wanted to say hi to Jason, and, you know, I was drinking at the time, so I thought it'd be cool to jump on, but
heck yeah.
Not for long.
What were you drinking? Were you drinking some tequilas?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
There you go. There you
know
go.
Me.
I do. Got to get them tequilas in there. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to Jason about how he felt the next day yet, but
I think he's going to be coming on in a little bit, actually.
Oh, killer. Yeah, man.
I love how you did the edges in the background here, and that seemed like it was so easy for you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. These brushes, man, I'm telling you, it's like using a paintbrush. And you know, if you were to sit there with a pencil or a charcoal, like even like these little guys right here,
yeah,
you know, I mean, it would take forever. It would take forever, and you're like sitting there, and you're more or less focused on the application than you are the overall feel that way.
Yeah, you know it's so smooth, and it looks so. Is that what type of material is that on the brush?
It's This is a sponge.
Oh, a sponge.
At the tip of it. Yeah, it's a sponge, and like it's okay. So the brush is actually like just this palette knife, basically. Mm-hmm. It's like a plastic palette knife, and then these sponges you can buy them at any big box store or anything like that, or you can get them on like online somewhere. But you can buy them in packages, and they're pretty cheap, and so you can go through them pretty fast. Like if you leave them alone and you don't mess with them for a couple of weeks, they almost kind of dry out and they get kind of stiff. You know what I mean? It's weird. But I guess they like to live, like a barnacle under the sea. You know what I mean? SpongeBob. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. And it's fun, a lot of fun doing it like this because you can just really sit back and get the entire scope of it a little bit faster, So right now, go in and keep adding more darks here because I want it. The low-key lighting, one of the things about it is if you study some of the other artists, so not only is it used nowadays, and it's more explained through filmmaking or photography and stuff like that, because it is implemented. And of course, it would be explained more so that way in our current time because the movies that we watch, they help convey like these emotions and these moods to help the story along. But when it first started being implemented, it was called chiaroscuro. And some of the artists that were using it was like Rembrandt and Caravaggio. Those are probably two of my favorite, Renaissance artists. And a lot of their paintings, when you look at them, especially Caravaggio, his backgrounds are almost completely black. And the way he has these forms kind of emerging from the background, from all that darkness, it's incredible. And it just makes the light sources that he's implementing for the subject matter just come to life. And he really, and the other artists that used it, really mastered that effect where you're peering into this moment in time instead of this painting. And I love that. I love it. And I think I still have to remind myself sometimes to kind of check myself whenever I'm creating like images for tattoos and stuff like that. And remember that there's some fundamentals with your approach to your designs and your composition that you want to kind of start implementing these things, like into your tattoos and everything. Because it definitely helps out. And it definitely helps convey the message of the whatever it is subject matter that you've implemented. And this is a good one for tattooing, especially because of the high contrast, and because of that high contrast of negative and positive relations as far as like the overall shape. The only thing we have to do really with this kind of a element of lighting is start implementing some of those rules like we talked about a little bit ago with line work. So normally what you would just see is like this simple shape back here, or like the simple shape that I'm starting to turn for this crown. We would implement some line work to kind of help tighten these edges up. Where in the painting, you're not using any lines; you're just using these contrasting edges. So those are the things that you have to really sort of remember. And I'm doing my best this year to focus on that as well. And I'm looking forward to kind of taking a leap, so to speak, with some of my artwork and my tattoos, and start, keep on with this grind of asking Guy for his opinions and other artists for their opinions on what I could have done differently. and start pushing my tattoos a little bit more this year. So we'll see how it works out. And one thing we can do is try. One thing we can do is try. Not really doing anything every day. We're more just trying every day. Yeah, that chiaroscuro. It's awesome stuff. If you guys get a chance, definitely check out Caravaggio. I'm sure we've all seen him, but he's definitely one of my major influences in my art. I think it's an effective way to capture a person's, not only their attention, but to get this invoked feeling in them, invoke an emotion. Another guy that kind of uses it as well is what's his name? Guillermo Del Toro. He uses color more so than dark shadows, but still the chiaroscuro effect is there. And he did the first two Hellboys with Ron Perlman, and I wanted to like the new one so much. I wanted to like it so much, but it was a turd. It looked cool, but I don't know about you guys, but it was not very good. That's with the dude from Stranger Things. I can never remember his name. The actor. He's in Black Widow as the father of Scarlett Johansson. The cool part is, like, I'm looking at this screen and you can kind of see a little bit of these little overlaps that might have collected a little bit more charcoal than the other spots and stuff like that, but I'm okay with that. I'm totally fine with that. The overall effect is what I'm looking for. Some of this I'll go back in and kind of, separate it a little bit, maybe get rid of some of the shading that I put on the crown a little bit here and there. But so far, I'm not hating it. I feel like I need to put a little bit more shading in this area though. Or maybe here. That way it can kind of keep that form going for that Terminator. I think that's what I'll do. That highlight is throwing me off. Let's get rid of it for a little while. There we go. Yeah, that's a little bit. There we go. There we go. A little bit darker shadows here and kind of push that guy a little bit forward. Remember where my light source is coming from. Excuse me. I apologize about that. I had a protein shake and it's not, I don't know, weird. There we go. That's a little better. Yeah, it's looking better. All right. Get back in here, get some darker values. And then, I see all this detail and stuff like that that I've already started building up and everything like that, but I've decided to do a little bit different with it. So I don't care about like destroying these little lines and stuff like that that I've already made. It doesn't matter if anything, it's going to help it out because it's going to blur out that background just a little bit more behind the skull and push the skull up a little bit more. And it's fine. Everybody trips out oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't know how to finish this. Just start. It's just paint. It's just charcoal. It's just a drawing. You have to be willing to quote unquote fail sometimes in order to get to the point where you want to be. And I say quote unquote fail because I don't think that word really means it. I think it means, I think it's supposed to be like education, learning. That's better. Yeah, it's already coming to life, but I'm not quite a bit more. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I'm gonna do some darkers on this side too. Yeah, right on. There we go. That should take it. Would you look at that?
Ricardo, would you like any background beats? Like subtle?
Yeah, for sure. That'd be awesome. That's funny. I was just thinking, I was like, I wonder what I could put on the TV real quick. There we go. All right. Yes. Don't stop till you get it. Time to put some pimping in it.
It's funny.
Yeah. Morning. How's it going, buddy?
Is that you playing music?
Lauren's playing some music.
I walked in and, I mean, this may come off as a little crass, but when I first jumped in here, I was like, what kind of a 1970s porno set did I walk into?
What are you talking about, man?
Is that a rhetorical question?
Exactly.
Touche!
Yeah, no doubt, dude. Tell me about it. Good answer.
First thing I hear is bounce. Wow, wow. You're still working on that thing, man?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier.
Well, art is a process, man. It is.
It's transformed quite a bit. You know what I mean? Even today, it's gone from night and day, literally almost. But yeah, I was just talking about that earlier today with the class. Is like saying that like mostly what I've been doing is just working on it whenever I jump into the class when I think it could help with like what it is that we're talking about as far as subject matter goes. And I first started it, believe it or not, whenever you went to your wedding. When was that? And I
that was April.
Yeah, dude, there you go. See.
Yeah, I was a bit inebriated that morning.
That was fun, man. I know that Lauren was with me on there, and then Guy jumped in, and Guy's like, "What's going on here? Who is this?"
Yeah.
And then you showed up, and you were like very smiley, and it was awesome.
It was like 11 a.m. and I was already tanked.
That's awesome.
And by the way, for those of you that might be watching, I don't really drink.
No, he doesn't.
Every now and then I'll have like a beer or like a scotch or something, but I don't drink very often, and I don't hardly ever drink to excess.
Yeah, no. I've been with them. It's true.
It's a very rare occasion when you see me that tuned up. Like Sunday night.
We were just talking about that, man. How did you feel? How did you feel the next day?
Oh, dude, 9 kinds of death.
It was COVID level hangover.
Burned alive. I think I was feeling every kind of death except for being burned alive.
That's terrible, dude. Really?
Well, I drank like a quarter bottle of rye whiskey.
I thought I saw you drinking straight out of the bottle, weren't you?
Yeah.
I was kind of like, "Oh, Jason, don't do that. Don't go down that road." And you just kept doing it. I was like, "Oh, here we go." See, if I was with you, I would have been like, "What are you doing, dude? Don't do that."
I cut myself off at like 11.
Oh, you guys stayed on that?
I think I cut myself off at 10, but...
How long did you guys stay on for?
Till midnight.
Oof, man, dude.
Well, we had to wait for like the last hour and a half to get Joe Cap in there.
Ooh, yeah, I disconnected before he came on. Well, how was he doing?
Oh
man, I missed it. We'll have to highlight some of it later.
Oh, it was interesting. We did. I would like to reach out and say a big thank you to Elaine. Thank you very much. Elaine was the first person that we critiqued on Sunday. And between Bob Tyrell, myself, and like everyone else that was on there, Yannicka was on there.
Who did you say?
Elaine.
Yeah, she made me laugh so hard.
So Elaine is 25 years old. She's been tattooing for 7 years. I think she got started like right out of high school.
I think she mentioned being 15 even.
Yeah, 15 or 17 or something like that. But she's on the younger side, but she's got the experience behind her. She's knocking out black and gray portraits. Like Bob Tyrell was impressed with her work.
There you go.
Okay. That's pretty incredible.
Heck yeah.
You know, Yannicka was there. She's got 25 years experience in the field, or 30 or something like that. She was blown away by her work. So we were like, all right, let's get her on the Zoom call, right? But she didn't really have anything to drink at home, except for like 2 8-year-old White Claws.
I think it was a 2-year-old Truly.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. A 2-year-old.
Jason, that was so funny when she pulled that out.
She's like, I don't know if this is going to kill me, but we'll try it.
I think you did a great job hosting and making everyone feel comfortable, no matter like what background they came from.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's part of it, right? This is yes, we are doing critiques. I get that. You know, we're not there to try to attack anyone. We're not there to try to be malicious in any way. We're there to try to help, right? But no one wants to go and get help from someone that's an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? So
Right.
you have to make the environment welcoming. You have to make the environment friendly. You know, you have to make sure that everyone knows that, hey, we're coming at this. Yes, we're drunk. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. You
Yes, we're
watch me
beyond
chug
drunk.
rye whiskey from a bottle. Like, yeah, I'm going to get tanked. But I'm
Jason
gonna be
Leeser, you're my hero. Go on.
You know, it's like, but I'm going to be kind and I'm going to be respectful, because that's the kind of environment we want to foster here at Reinventing the Tattoo. No one was coming at anyone that got critiqued from a malicious end. You know, if we did have criticisms and critiques for whatever was posted, we would sit down and really break apart what needed to be worked on, where things could be better, like what was going on. And believe it or not, I submitted some of my own work too in there.
Yeah.
Like I submitted a tattoo I had done recently that I wanted feedback on, and I got some brutally honest feedback. And that is the whole point of drunk critique. You're not going to get brutally honest feedback from someone that's sober, unless they're just an asshole.
Yeah. That's exactly what we were talking about a little bit ago, dude. I agree with you completely.
I
It was
think
good.
by nature, as human beings, we don't want to hurt other people's feelings. I don't believe, I mean, there are certain people out there, but I personally do not believe that people are malicious in that nature. So that makes getting truly honest feedback from someone without it being candy coated, without it being sugar coated, without it really like, without there being some kind of, I don't know, I want to say like cushion there. You know, it's hard to get that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from someone that that doesn't have their inhibitions lowered in some aspect. Because those are our inhibitions are what's there that really help us to maintain interpersonal contacts. You know, but when you start to mix alcohol into that, that honesty comes right out. Now, granted, I'm not at a level where I feel like I can honestly sit back and offer my feedback and have it judged, you know, on that kind of a level. You know, when I'm looking at someone's work who's been tattooing for 15 or 20 years, you know, I've got maybe half that experience. So where, you know, and I'm not terrible by any means. I'm not the best, but I'm getting there slowly but surely. You know, but it's like, okay, who am I to really offer my opinion? I don't have a name like Joe Capobianco and like 80 years experience in the field. You know, I don't have the high art sensibility like IH. You know, I don't have the international renown of Yannick, you know, or the legendary status of Bob Tyrell. Do I have an educated perspective on art and design and what needs to be worked on? Absolutely. But I don't think that that's what people want to hear. So,
I mean, we're all afraid of like fucking, you know, putting ourselves out there. That's the thing. Like you were touching on, you know, what it is to be inhibited. And I don't think it's just the fact that it's to keep our like inner dialogue to ourselves. I think it's kind of like a protection thing. Like it's either been learned or it's like innate in a sense of your nature and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But most of the time it's a learned trait for you to just kind of stay quiet. And a lot of that comes from, you know, rejection of some sort or like some kind of like fear of you know, being exposed. And we all want to be safe, right? But like it's important to put yourself out there in that aspect, especially if you're trying to become a better artist, like you're talking about. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude, I couldn't agree with you more, Jason. I think it was a great time. I had a good time.
Also,
I put my stuff out there too.
I think part of the other part of the reason why I didn't offer my own personal critiques of whatever was brought up is because I wasn't brought there to critique. I was invited into that to host.
Right.
So, you know, I kept my opinions to myself, focused on the tech, and did what I did. But if I ever got invited back in to critique, that would be a different story. So
That's a bunch of shit.
You have to acknowledge your, you know, what your responsibilities are and the intention behind why you're there.
Right. Okay, I got you. I think it was a good time either way, man. I think it was all fun. I think if people get hurt about their feelings, you got to remember, like in the title, it says drunk critique, dude. It says it, drunk critique. I think I've heard Gabe even say that before too. He's like, don't, you know, it's a drunk critique it's called drunk critique for a reason.
This is not a place for niceties.
You know what, dude, though? I've met Bob Tyrell in person a few times, and every time it's the same dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's really cool. He's just a mellow dude. Yeah.
He's an absolutely great human being.
Also, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but he was actually in a George Romero film. He got to be one of George Romero's zombies.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was awesome that Tony was there too. Kurt Wiscombe stopped in as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, along with Jamie Mahood.
I've heard that name before.
Dude, you want to talk about an incredible portrait artist. Absolutely unreal portrait artist. Go look her up.
Okay.
And I believe her last name is pronounced Mahood. Could be Mayhood, but I'm pretty sure it's.
You're talking about Jamie?
Yeah.
Oh, phenomenal artist, and she's super cool. Was she on?
She was, yeah.
Oh shit, and she's
her
super.
And her husband.
Oh wow, those two are incredible. Right out of Austin.
Yes, they are.
She's probably my favorite portrait artist in general.
That's
just
awesome.
because she's got an awesome personality, she's got a really great portfolio, and yeah.
Yeah, she is dynamite. Like, I'm pretty sure when it comes down to black and gray portraits, I'm pretty sure she's probably one of the best lesser known people, right? Because she's not putting herself out there all that often. She's not really, traveling the convention circuit too heavily. She's not, she's kind of quiet and in the background, and she's letting her reputation build itself. And I deeply respect that, because she's like, no, if you like my work, get tattooed.
Check this out, guys.
Look at that.
Look at that. Dang. Double dang.
Look at how smooth those subtle grays are.
That's incredible, dude. Oh, yeah. Look at that. What do you know? There it is. Pretty cool.
And that's her husband. Or no, that's he passed away, Dano. That was really upsetting and sad.
Yeah.
He passed away recently.
It's a bummer.
Wait, who?
Dano, he was from, I talked to El Chimu about him. He was from that company, the ink company, the
Dano
Grays.
Collins?
Mm-hmm. Sombra Grays.
Oh, Dan Sancho.
Yeah. But he was a great character, an awesome person for the tattoo community, and it does really, really, really suck that he passed away. October 16th was when they celebrated his life, but
I was going to say that I was praying you weren't talking about Dano Collins, because he just wished me a happy birthday.
Nope. But Jamie's a phenomenal artist to follow, everybody, and if you're not, definitely do so, because she's got such a great personality. Jamie Mahood. And man, have you seen her collection of artwork?
Man,
look at that. Wow.
Dang,
and that's not
there.
very big either.
All that. I love the texture around, the subtleties around through here. She doesn't take any shortcuts.
No.
No.
And you can't. When you're doing black and gray portraiture, you cannot take shortcuts.
I really like
awesome.
the texture through here. Super subtle and soft.
Yeah. But, she's able to portray white without actually using white.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Except for that mole. Except for the mole.
Well, on the lip and the eyes and
right
stuff
here.
too, but the more of the high focal points. So
less is more.
I wonder if she has any healed photos that we could check out.
I mean, dude, that Lincoln and that guy above him, it's those soft tonal valleys that already look gray. I don't know if she's like dropping the contrast for the photo itself, or the saturation, I'm sorry.
And her husband is much more into the traditional colors, but also really cool work as well.
Yeah, that's great. Super solid, super bold.
Yep.
Yeah, it's super traditional, like red, olive.
I love that.
Brown, yeah.
It's very very Ed Hardy.
Yeah, for sure, dude. That one's sped up a little bit more.
Ooh.
All right.
That's pretty killer. Thanks for sharing that, man. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what time we got. 9:58. We got a few minutes. I'll probably be wrapping it up in the next like 15 or 20. Got some holiday stuff to
jump
do.
in and you have to end up, shutting everything down.
Well, it's because, okay. Let's go ahead and talk about that for a second.
Because I haven't showered in a month, is it?
It's totally because you just showed up and I was like, Jason's here. Damn it. Let's go. We got to get out of here.
This is what happens when I just neglect showering. I mean, you can smell me all the way from Illinois,
through the Zoom call and everything, dude.
You're using smell-o-vision, right?
Smell-o-vision. It's not just smell-o-vision, it's smell-o-vision. Smell-o-vision. Gee.
Well, yeah, hopefully we get to do another drunk critique again sometime soon. I had an absolute blast. Lauren, thank you for jumping in. And I was trying to get the videos up there side by side with what I was sharing.
I meant to talk to you about that. That's funny. Really what it was is that whenever you're screen sharing, just practical advice, when you're screen sharing and there's anything that's over top, say like the video of the faces from Zoom or whatever, that grays out the screen that you're sharing.
Got you.
Yep. So like if you, and then also there's that side-by-side gallery view versus speaker view within a screen share. But it would be I'm sorry that I brought that up as you were drinking.
Yeah.
I felt bad for doing that now that I think about it.
Yeah, I was starting to freak out. I was like,
Actually, Gabe had done the same thing yesterday, and we kind of talked about it, how like if you do that, that's I'll show you right now. Just one of those things. Is it grayed out for you?
No.
And like a little spot in the middle of the thing?
Nope.
Okay, well, it doesn't work right now, but you guys can see some of the comments here. Thanks, Miss Ross Sauce. If you want to join, I can send you a link if you're still watching. Just send me a DM. Otherwise, thanks Faceted Ink Studio and Neil for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It's always good to get you guys in here. If you guys ever want to join, just let us know. And then there's also videos on through Reinventing showing you how to get into the link or into the Zoom videos. Mm-hmm. It's always fun. It's always fun to have new people jumping in and share your art and share your story, where you're from, what kind of stuff you get into, and tell everybody that you know for a fact that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm. This is non-negotiable and non-debatable.
It's non-debatable.
It is fact. It is true, unadulterated fact.
It is a fact, dude. Die Hard is a Christmas goddamn movie. Plus, it's got Alan Rickman in it. You know what I mean? The late Alan Rickman, the great, the only Alan Rickman. You know, that was his first. I think that was his first movie. Even I think he'd been doing some like, stage work.
Wasn't he also in Kevin Costner's Robin Hood movie?
Yeah, he was the bad guy, but that was after Die Hard.
The Prince of Rottingham or Nottingham?
Nottingham, yeah, Nottingham. But the Mel Brooks one, though, at least he can speak with an English accent. What you think, Jason?
You're not wrong.
Is it looking good? Anything I can do? Top of the head, darker? More contrast through here, especially right here.
So I think you need a bit more separation between the top of the skull or the top of the crown and the background. I think it fades out too much.
So make the back of the skull more silhouetted, then, don't you think? And then leave that. I think I should bring this up to it and then erase this part.
That curve in the back.
Uh-huh.
Right? That's the back edge of the skull, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that anatomically proportionate to the front of the skull?
Well, it's not just the back of the skull. It's actually like part of the crown. You know what I mean? It's that top part of the crown. It's actually what's going on. Yeah.
That's what I was curious about.
Yeah. So no, it would be very like Mars Attacks if that was the case, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I just watched that movie again the other day. It's pretty good. Pretty decent movie. I used to hate it, but it's not that bad. It's pretty funny. The whole time they're just saying they're gonna dominate our ass. What's up?
A whole lot starting entertaining this morning. Like 4 yesterday.
Yeah, all right. What you got going on? Let's check it out.
Oh, I just started.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not to interrupt, but Neil, thank you for watching. He said he's a Wisconsin oil painter here and he'd like to join sometime. You're more than welcome. I know Ricardo and I are in the same neck of the woods. He's in Illinois and I'm in Appleton, Wisconsin. So.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
I'm in Philadelphia, but I'd still like to jump in.
Yeah.
Have car, will travel.
Yeah. Melissa, also thanks for watching the Tattoo Weekly yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together on your screen name, but now that I do, that's awesome.
I've had this alias for a very, very long time.
What was that?
I said I've had this alias for a very, very long time.
Oh, I love it.
I jumped in there for a little while last night. I was like, yo, what up? Let's see here.
I finished the
Also,
painting I was working on yesterday.
Let's check it out.
Let me grab it.
The day and time for the Tattoo Weekly has changed, correct?
Yes, we are Monday mornings at 11 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, look at that, Melissa. That's killer.
Ooh.
That's what you were working on yesterday then, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, you cranked that out, dude.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it looks great.
I was working on that for like 12 hours yesterday. And then
good on you.
I did a couple little holiday shaped things afterward.
Oh, that's
These
fun.
were much more simple.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it looks very cool.
Simple yet profound.
Hey, I just want to hop in real quick to show the. I can do a screen share of how to join, real easy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the Reinventing homepage, www.reinventingthetattoo.com. Click up here, watch. upcoming events, has our Google Calendar of events that are coming up. So you could add yourself to the Google Calendar or add yourself to specific events. In this case, it's the 21st, and the Zoom link is right here. Boom. You can copy it to your calendar, get more details, and whatnot. This also has images. So if you get the notifications, then it'll tell you like 2 hours ahead, it'll shoot you an email, hey. And then I think 10 minutes ahead, it says it's happening in 10 minutes.
How do you get it to pop up in calendar form? Because mine doesn't show that at all. It just shows me the listing.
Inside of here, you mean, or?
On the app.
This is just a straight up homepage. www.reinventingthetattoo.com.
Okay, so it's not in app, it's just on the webpage.
No, we're shifting, like the app has a calendar that isn't for the public. So like you have to log in to be able to see any of the events. And so we're shifting over to the Google Calendar for our main event listings.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
We're in the middle of transitioning over a couple technologies, actually consolidating a couple different technologies. And so, yeah. So again, but basically the fun part is that from here on out, we just tell people to go to the homepage, www.reinventingthetattoo.com. There's the calendar there with all the upcoming events and information. And Zoom links when they're available.
Perfect.
Thanks, Gabe.
Very awesome. Thanks, Gabe.
Also, Ricardo, Neil, thank you for commenting. He says, appreciate the channel. Ricardo, great work. And he asked, is it charcoal? I responded yes, but if you'd like to elaborate, feel free.
Yeah, thanks for the compliment. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's charcoal. I'm using loose charcoal, medium tone, and just keep building it up and up. And I'm using the soft pastel. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Weren't you saying that before you were actually using powdered elf bone?
Powdered elf bone? Yeah. Yep. I traveled long and far to get that, but it's
all the way
an
to the edges
now.
of the earth and back, right?
Edges of the earth and back. Yep. Exactly. I did it during drunk critique, actually.
God, that felt like an eternity.
Yeah,
Neil said he always wanted to try, so that's pretty cool. Not sure what's holding you back, but I know charcoal is something you work a lot with, Ricardo. What was something that maybe held you back or prompted you to start using more charcoal?
What prompted me to start using more charcoal, it's interesting that you said you're an oil painter, was the fact that I started oil painting is actually what prompted me to start using charcoals. Especially with these soft palette knives. It's a lot like the first couple layers when you're thinning down your paint with the paint thinner. Because you're using a very soft tone, you're using a very broad brush and stuff like that, and you're just kind of manipulating your shapes until you start getting your proportions correctly. And that's only if you're not using like a transfer paper for your image or something like that. You know what I mean? But I guess even if you're using a stencil, it's still kind of implemented the same way, right? But yeah, and what kind of held me back from it for such a long time was I thought that every stroke that I put down was permanent. I thought that every time that I put anything to paper with whatever medium it was, or canvas or anything like that, I thought it was just permanent, and I made a mistake and I'm gonna throw it away immediately. You know what I mean? And I think that I got kind of caught up in every single picture I draw has to be something good. And that kept me, away from kind of getting into drawing a little bit more, painting a little bit more for sure. And then becoming a tattoo artist, you know what I mean? That kind of solidified that every mark that I make is permanent, even more. But getting back into artwork, painting, oil painting, is just making me realize, it's giving me a better understanding of my values, of my forms, my light sources, my lighting effects. So yeah, don't be afraid to just jump in and get your hands dirty, especially with charcoals, man. It's a lot of fun to get your hands, like literally just tons of stuff all over them, it's no big deal. And don't be afraid, man. Don't be afraid to jump in. I've done quite a few, shows on these drawing classes. I've done quite a few on using charcoals and how I use them. which I don't think it's anything real new. I think a lot of people actually do this the way that I do it too. But you're more than welcome to kind of go back through and check them out. And then if you have any questions, feel free to, message us, let us know what's going on.
Also, I know we've spoken about this before, but Faceted Ink Studio is curious what kind of paper you are using.
I think this is just heavy press. I'm not sure on the pounds that it is, but it's just heavy press Bristol paper, basically. And I got it on a big roll, and I think there's like 20 feet on the roll or something like that. And, it's really thick. The problem with those rolls, though, is that like you have to lay them down almost underneath your mattress for a while. You gotta put some weighted stuff on them to get them to kind of unfurl and stuff like that. Unless Jason knows of a method to kind of get away from doing that. Here we go.
I do indeed.
Let's see what you got.
Okay, so I work with a lot of watercolor paper in like very large rolls. So I run into the same issue where everything is constantly curled, right?
Yep.
You can't ever really unroll a truly flat piece from those big rolls. One thing you can do is figure out which side you want to draw on or paint on, right? Like with certain watercolor paper, it's very distinctive which side is which. I'm not sure if it's the same way with the paper you have, Ricardo, but I know it's very true with certain types of paper.
Yes.
Go through, find the back of the paper, unroll your length, cut your length, and it's going to be all warped and like trying to curl back in on itself. Take the back of the paper, get yourself a little spritzer bottle like this, fill it up with distilled water. Don't use tap water. Distilled water, and lightly spray the back and rub it into the fibers. Tape it up, let it air dry, and it will be flat as it dries. Don't soak it. You just need it to moisturize just a little bit, just so that it doesn't try to curl back on itself. That's the best way I've ever found. Wait until it's bone dry, completely thoroughly bone air dry, and then you can start working on it with dry medium.
Points. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, dude, because like on vellum especially, right? Like you'll find that there is a smooth side and a tooth side. I've made the mistake a few times when I was working primarily with like Prismacolors, you know what I mean? That shit sucks and it does not collect very well. The back of it is definitely a different a reaction to whatever medium it is that you're using. Like some paints will just almost like roll off of it, even, especially like watercolors and stuff like that, man. You have to have that tooth side up, and you can usually see a sheen on it. Like if you hold it up at an angle to the light, you can kind of see a sheen on it, or you can feel the difference too. Like on the tooth side, there's definitely a textured, a very kind of like smooth kind of texture, but it's definitely different than like when you touch cardboard, for example. It's very smooth, and the tooth side is like more like a paper towel kind of feel. So that's kind of how I would relate it, I guess. Yeah.
Also, Ricardo, have you ever heard of these brushes? They're Winsor & Newton Monarch brushes.
No, I don't think I've heard of those. Let's check them out.
I just got these from Amazon the other day, and I am absolutely in love.
Okay.
They're synthetic mongoose.
Okay.
And they're soft but stiff.
Nice. Yeah, like so they maintain their form, right? But like the brushes, the bristles themselves are not like that harsh nylon kind of feel.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it definitely holds a lot of paint. Very good for impasto work.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know if I would use it for impasto work. I think it's a little too soft for that, but it will hold a lot of paint. And it's very soft, so you can get some very silky, smooth brush strokes with it.
Nice. Silky smooth. This is coming along a lot better now. I still think I need to kind of have the dark directly behind the head.
Yeah.
No, that looks pretty. What do you think? You think it should come straight off of that shit? Because you're starting to see it already, aren't you? Right?
Yeah.
With that little halo kind of around it.
Yeah. Creates a nice separation between your darks and your lights. The one thing that is standing out a lot for me right now, though, is the
Let's hear it.
highlight on the crow skull all the way to your left.
Yes. It's almost like it needs to be darker here, right?
Well, just ask yourself if that's where you want people's eyes to look.
Yeah,
right?
I think I need to soften that one up a little bit more. And I think the highlights should actually be more here on these sockets than anywhere else, really. I think you're right.
I'd say just tone it down a hair. I wouldn't, I don't
overall.
I don't know
like
if
overall.
I would change it. I would just tone it down because right now it's dominating my attention.
I got a little
when compared to the highlights in the middle of the skull. It's really kind of distracting from what I think you want people to look at. Then again, I could be wrong. Maybe you want people to look at those crow skulls over the actual human skull.
Not necessarily. No, I think the human skull should be the focal point. And I think this area right here on the brow should have a little bit more, highlights. But I think maybe if I went through and did the whole, like soften them all up a little bit.
Keep in mind too, I'm looking at it on a cell phone. So right now, the whole piece that you're working on is maybe about that big.
Yeah. You know what though, dude? Honestly, I think I like doing that. I was just talking about that earlier before you jumped on, is that like, it was kind of cool because I look over here and I see the image in the screen, but you can actually see a little bit more once you kind of step really far back from the image anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
When you taught painting, even tattooing, you should always step back from the image. And so you can kind of see if everything's where it's supposed to be as far as your light sources, your contrast and stuff like that. And I think that it's great because I was saying, I looked at my images sometimes when I'm doing it by myself through the phone. Like I literally just pick up my camera, turn my camera, or pick up my phone, turn the camera on, and just look at it through that screen, that different filter, right? It's like a separate filter from your own eye.
I do that when I go to take a break from a painting or something.
Yeah.
Take a photo of it and then step away and kind of just analyze it super small.
Perfect. You find that it helps you pretty well?
Well, yeah. I mean, I do the same thing with my tattoos. I'll have the client stand across the room so I can look at it briefly, and then I'll go out and take a quick break and come back and look at it again. And I don't know, it changes your perspective. You see it as a whole versus as a part when you're working on it.
Yep, exactly.
I always like to do that, but what I'll do is I'll take that photo and I'll put it in grayscale.
Yeah.
So I can double check and verify all the contrast, make sure my contrast is correct, that everything's very definitive.
That's a good one too.
It's a quick way to just check and take a look at your values.
Definitely. Well, guys, I hate to do this. Jason, if you want to stick around, it's up to you, man. It's totally cool by me, but I'm going to have to get going. I got a lot of stuff going on today, so.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I'm actually going to get running in just a second and head over to the studio.
Cool. Well, I'll tell you what, then if that's the case, why don't we hop around the room real quick and have everybody say some hellos and goodbyes. Melissa, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. So my name is Melissa Sink. You can find me on Instagram at MAC_MISSA. I tattoo out of state in Oregon. And holidays are all about the paint.
Thank you for joining us, Melissa. It's great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
You're killing it with the paintings, man. Keep that up. That energy is awesome. That's so cool. And it's not like that painting was rushed. It doesn't look rushed at all. It looks awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, Jason.
Cool. So my name is Jason Leeser. I host the Sunday afternoon drawing groups here for Reinventing the Tattoo. Ricardo, it's always a pleasure to jump on. I know I jumped on a little bit late. I think I'm actually still kind of recovering from Sunday night. So bear with me there. Sorry for that. You know me, I usually like to jump in right as this is getting kicked off, say my piece, and then peace out. So, but Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I always love watching you work, man. It's always inspiring.
Thank you so much.
Maybe we can get together and try to figure out a night to do like a virtual oil paint jam and start talking techniques and materials and stuff like that. Anyone that's watching that also works in oils, please join us. We're always looking for more engagement and more people to jump in and talk about painting and drawing and art in general. This channel is very dedicated to tattooing, but I think an important thing to remember is that we are artists outside of tattooing as well. Whether we work with watercolor paper and traditional designs, or if we work with oil paints or charcoals, soft pastels, acrylics, it doesn't matter. We are artists. What we do is create art, and it doesn't matter the medium. It's important to always try to remember that and keep that in mind as well. So yeah, jump in, join us, give us some feedback, hang out and talk. We're nice people for the most part, unless I'm drunk.
And you're
Then I'm
really
just a goofball.
Then you're just super funny and nice. Yeah. Most of the time you're nice.
When I drink, I'm overly nice. It's bad.
Yeah. No, that's when you actually get funny, bro. It's okay. Anyways, no, man, it's always a pleasure having you here, Jason. Dude, I look forward to like seeing you in class and stuff like that, and jumping in on Sundays and everything like that too. And I appreciate your comments, man. Your compliments. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to hear them. It means a lot coming from me, so thank you.
I'm not trying to be nice, Ricardo. I'm just being honest.
Thank you, dude. Thank you.
So, Ricardo, I think that since last week or next week is the last episode of the year, maybe we could kind of take that and go around the horn with artists who join on things that they feel like they accomplished this year and things maybe that they'd like to look forward to. So it'd be a great, platform to talk about all of those things next week.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that'd be great. Let's shoot for that. Definitely. Okay. Killer. I like that idea.
And Neil and everybody else who's watching, how about you try to hop on next week? There's no pressure. It's really easy. All you need is a phone and a Zoom account.
That's it, man. It's super easy. And you won't regret it, I promise you. I was so fearful of jumping in myself. One of the first classes that I jumped in was with Jason, actually. And it's been life-changing, like no joke. And it's awesome to be a part of this community. Everybody here, like Jason was saying earlier, we're all very friendly people. We all want the best for everybody. We all want to grow together. You know what I mean? We're not here to tear people down or make you feel bad. We're here to like help learn from each other and teach each other. And it's an awesome community. So you won't regret joining them if you do. And thank you for the comments today, Neil, and the questions. Lauren, always thank you so much for all your help. Thank you, Gabe, for everything that you've done, all your critiques and everything like that, all your help in advancing me.
Hey, thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, man. Seriously, it means a lot. Sandy, you're awesome. Thank you so much for working with me. And to the man himself, Guy Aitchison, thank you so much for all that you do and all that you've been doing all these years for all of us. It's awesome to be able to be a part of this, and I can't thank you enough. But if you guys want, make sure and jump in next Tuesday. It'll be really fun to kind of like touch base and let's talk about the year end and like some of the goals that we might have, and let's talk about how we might like want to kind of start implementing them. And like I think it's like I was saying earlier, it's important also to kind of remember we are our thoughts, our emotions become our reality, right? So like let's try to stay a little bit more positive, try to do some more things that scare us. Let's jump in there, right in the deep end, man, head first. But thank you guys so much for joining. Make sure and join us next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And as always,